Back in 1990, a woman named Kathleen Dooley was supposed to have her wedding reception at the Hyatt Hotel in Boston on June 25th, but it never happened. 2 months earlier, her fiancé got cold feet, walked out on the relationship, and left her brokenhearted. So the wedding was off. So the reception was going to be off too. Eventually, Kathleen went down to the Hyatt Hotel and met with the events manager and shared the sad news, and the events manager looked at her and said, "I'm sorry. That must be very hard." And then she said sorry again, because she looked at Kathleen and said, "I'm sorry to tell you that I cannot refund your $4,500 deposit." It was non-refundable. And so now Kathleen had two options. She could either just lose the $4,500, or she could still have a party, since the place was reserved and paid for anyway. And after thinking about it for a little bit, that's what she decided to do. About 10 years earlier, Kathleen had been living in a homeless shelter. But she got back up on her feet, got a job, and saved enough money that she could pay for a pretty nice wedding reception. And she decided to use that money now to treat those who knew at that point how she had felt 10 years earlier to a night out on the town in Boston that they would never forget. She sent official invitations out to homeless shelters and drug addiction centers all throughout Boston, inviting those who had been broken by life, broken by addiction, and broken, in some cases, by their own life's decisions, to take one night off from the streets in Boston to eat some chicken cordon bleu and sip on some champagne and eat some chocolate wedding cake and tickle the floor with their dancing feet. And it was amazing. People came. And more than a few people throughout the evening commented to Kathleen once they realized that she was the one who was hosting the party. They said something to the effect of, "I can't believe that somebody like me would ever receive this type of invitation." And yet the invitation still came. You know, the book of Zephaniah, as God's people were on their way to Babylon, as Zephaniah broke the bad news that you're about to lose everything good that you've been working for, that would have been hard. That would have been troubling. And I bet the thought crossed their mind, I wonder if God wants anything more to do with us after what we've done to him. But God answered that very quickly through Zephaniah in the very last verse of the book. In the very last book of Zephaniah, it says this. This is God talking. It says, "At that time I will gather you, and at that time I will bring you home." I will bring you home. These people who had broken their own lives by their own life's decisions, by their walking away from God, still had the right to expect a day when they would return home. Except the home that he's talking about is one that's even better than the one that they left, and one that's even better than one night out on the town in Boston. It's one that includes a menu that is far richer than chicken cordon bleu and champagne. It's a home that it's a menu that includes the wiping away of every tear and the absence of all of your suffering and all of your pain. It's the home that was won for us by somebody who knows how it feels to be, in a sense, homeless, and somebody who himself knows how it feels to suffer through a lot of pain. Jesus knows. Whatever you're suffering, whatever you're going through, whatever the cause of your pain, whatever the depths of it, there's one thing we know about it. We know how God responded. And God looked down on this earth, he looked down at your life, he saw the suffering, he saw the pain, and his response to it was to come down to this broken world and to suffer, right alongside every tribe and language and nation and race. His response to it was to suffer with us and to give us a friend who would not only be with us from the beginning to the end, but who will guarantee that one day the suffering will end when he takes us home, to a place that God believes you belong. We'll get there. Home is coming.
Do you struggle to find time to connect with God? Well, click here to subscribe to our daily email. We'll make sure that you hear about God's promises, his love, and his amazing word.